your mind against you for a good time. You just might be exposed to things you didn't know about before.
Hello, and thank you for choosing Webb Software Solutions for your program needs. My name is Jeremy, and I am the owner as well as sole employee of Webb Software Solutions. I have fully developed, coded, and tested, as well as releasing all this software on my own. With that in mind, I can say confidently that every piece of software has been developed with your security and privacy in mind. As a single father of 3 kids, I know how important privacy can be and how important security is. And so none of my software will collect your data. None of it is designed to share or harvest data of any kind. And it's all been made fully here in the USA. So with that in mind, thank you for your interest in Webb Software Solutions, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Hello, and thank you for your interest in Webb Software Solutions. So these videos are not only going to act as kind of a guide and promo as to what the different software does, but also as I move along, I will be kind of pointing out different things that I'll be doing updates on or upgrades on, changes over the next wave of updates I do. I usually try to go through and every 5 or 6 weeks or so, check all the programs and see if there's any updates that need to be made due to new Windows updates, or if there's anything I missed. And so the first thing that we're going to be looking at here is the Web Network Analyzer. The Web Network Analyzer first goes through and makes sure that you have WinPCAP and NPCAP installed. Those particular pieces of software are required just as base elements for this program. Sorry for looking around all weird, but I got multiple monitors and things set up kind of strange just so there was a dedicated monitor for this. And so the first thing that you can do here is get this computer's IP address. I'm not going to click that one just because I don't want to exactly give away my info here. This one you're probably going to see a lot less of me actively actually using it just because I don't want to give away the personal info on this computer. And so you can click this one and it's going to tell you what the IP address of your specific computer is that you're running the program on. Then there's also the Get DNS server IP. What this is going to do is it's going to tell you the IP of the server that is feeding all the different IP addresses to devices in your home. So it's the router from your internet service provider's IP essentially. Then there's Get Public IP. This is the IP address that's public facing. And so this is the one that, for example, if you have a static IP address that allows for people to get into the network, it's going to look at that and tell you what that is. Or if you have a dynamic IP address and it, is basically shared amongst other people, and so there's no way to route in through it necessarily, you're still going to have a public facing IP address, and this is going to get that information for you. Then scan network devices. It's hit and miss on which pieces of hardware it works 100% for, but it's supposed to not only get the IP address of the different devices on your network, but also kind of give you some clues as to what each thing is as you're looking at the IP address. So whether it's the manufacturer name, the device name, that kind of thing. And then monitor network activity. This is a nice little feature that a lot of other network analyzing tools don't have, and what it's going to actually look at is direct packets that are moving across the network, and it's going to give you a readout of all those packets. So that way, if for example you're having any trouble finding the DNS server's IP, or if something's just not adding up, you can do a packet network monitor and essentially look at all the different IP addresses that are pinging around on your network. Now, a lot of those are going to be the IP addresses of things that are connecting into the network, or websites that you're linked out to, that kind of thing. But this little guy here will also kind of reveal inner network IP addresses that you might have missed in the other options. And so that is the Web Network Analyzer in a nutshell, essentially. And well, let's move on to another one. So another one that we have is the Web Addiction Recovery app. And so what this guy does is it's basically just an aid for people that are going through any sort of addiction and need help getting over that addiction. Um, so I relapse. Let's reset the counter. Now at this point, what you can do is go up here and you can set, let's say it's just today is the only day that I've been sober for. And so then you hit update progress and you get this window. It says, great, you've been addiction free for 1 day. Click OK. And now it's going to keep track of how many days from this point you've been sober for. So you know exactly how long you've been going for. If you're having some trouble and you're looking for a little motivation, but you don't feel like going to a support network, which, always go to a support network if you're having addiction issues. You'd hit show motivational quote, and it's going to do this. Sorry, it's popping everything up in what would be my main window, but that's what I'm using for my recording software, so I have to kind of keep dragging everything up. And so strongest people are not those who show strength in front of us, but those who win battles we know nothing about. It's going to just do that. And so there's a whole bunch of different motivational quotes. It'll bring up a random one every time. Let's see. Then there's visit resources. This is going to take you to a series of websites, specifically like shatterproof.org and Smart Recovery, as well as Faces and Voices of Recovery and LifeRing. The software isn't actually connected to any of these resources. They all are very well looked at and reputable sources for people that are dealing with addiction. And it's a nice thing to have on hand if you're using the app for anything. Let's see, then you can go to view progress. And what this does is basically just tells you this information that's up here, but in a bigger display. It's kind of redundant, but at one point, I think when I originally coded that part in, the counter wasn't right up there at the very beginning like that. So honestly, I might get rid of that view progress and change that up to be a little more apparent after that in the next update here. And so then add journal entry. This feature, it lets you take notes and journal, and if you're having a hard time, write about it. It's a good way to keep track of like triggers if you've been feeling like you're going to fall back into addiction, that kind of thing. And so then view journal entries. This is just going to give you a list of all the journal entries that you've made. I'm pretty sure this one's just a test file that I created back when I was writing the code for this guy, or doing the last update on it, I think. Let's see. Then you can add daily goals, remove goal, and mark goal as completed. So what this is one way that can be very beneficial for overcoming addiction is to maintain positive habits daily and to make sure that you're staying on top of those positive habits. So that way you can remind yourself that you're a good person that can totally, knock this out of the park. And instead of getting high or doing whatever it is that you were addicted to, you can, brush your teeth and clean your house and make your bed and those kind of things. And so on this one, let's say make your bed is a new daily goal that you want to start doing. And so you would save that goal. And as soon as you refresh the goals, you're going to see that there. It's going to reset itself every day. So it's a daily goal that'll pop up. And let's say that you have completed making your bed for that day. You can mark that goal as completed. And so now that's marked as completed. Anytime anything changes about the daily goals, you have to hit refresh goals. It's just to keep the program lightweight. Otherwise, it's going to be redundantly doing these background checks to see if that's updated at all. If by putting it in your hands and making you hit that refresh goal button, it keeps it from doing these weird little background checks persistently. And so now that's not going to reset until tomorrow, and you can keep adding, and so every day that goes by that you're winning the fight against your addiction, you can help build yourself into a better person and help distract yourself from your addiction with positive things, essentially, by adding to this daily goal list. And so my hope for this one, sorry about that, my phone rang, is that it can help a lot of people out. And because of that, I also went to school for psychology, so it's based largely around information I know from psychology about overcoming addiction. And my goal with this one is to always keep it super cheap. And so it's only ever going to be a few bucks, couple bucks. I think the most I would ever go with it is $5. Just to make sure that it's easily accessible to people that are struggling with addiction, and that they can, utilize this resource to help them overcome their addiction. All right. So the next one we're going to look at is the Webb Business Manager. This is one of the newer programs that came out, the Webb Business Management Digital Assistant. So with the Webb Business Management Digital Assistant, you have everything behind a password. The first time you open the program, it's going to ask for you to put in your password, and that's because quite a few things, especially the Resources tab, are all hidden behind a password. And so I tossed in my password there, and it's got multiple things to help small business owners. And so a lot of times, you'll have deadlines for when you have to file tax information or file taxes, sales tax especially, annual renewals, that kind of stuff. You would put that under the calendar here, and it's going to maintain this list for you, a working list of everything that you're going to have to do for your company that's tied to specific dates. Then you have notes here. This would be, if you've noticed that one piece of marketing is working better than another, or that, a certain employee is consistently having a problem that you need to correct, you can make little notes and reminders for yourself here. They're not timed to any timestamps or anything like that. It's just notes for yourself about your company. Now, resources, this is an interesting one, and this is where the password part really comes into play. This is going to actually save the website, username, and password for all the different websites that business owners end up having to work with. The Secretary of State website, the Department of Revenue website, the any insurance you might have, any other licensing bodies, vendors, that kind of thing. And so I know personally, a lot of those websites require passwords that I think are overly convoluted, and it's hard for me to keep them all, in track. And the last thing you want to do is, just have like a book that says passwords on it with all those written down. And so this kind of puts things at your fingertips while still allowing that privacy and that data security of having everything on an encrypted database and locked behind a password. Tasks. So this is for daily tasks. This is, if every day at your company you need to go through and audit inventory, or you need to go through and, go through a checklist of things that have to be done. This is that checklist for you. You can mark out what days that you want it done, whether it repeats daily, whether it's just every Monday you need to go do this. And it kind of helps you keep yourself organized in the different things you're going to have to do for your company. On a day-to-day basis, not so much the random one-off events that you would put into the calendar. All right, and so then documents. This one's a cool feature. What this one does is, deal with that some other time. So what this one does is it'll make a copy of any file that you feed it, any document file, PDF, .odt, .doc, etc. And it'll make a copy of that file for you, so that way you have a backup copy of it now in a different spot on your computer in case something was to happen to the file that it was originally on. And then it also allows you to bring up that file from this window here. And so you don't have to go hunt it down on your computer. Just all your business documents, all your licensing, all that is just now easily organized in this one spot, and it's backup copies that have been organized. So that way, I know on my actual running version of this program, I have like my business license, the form that has my EIN on it, all that kind of stuff. And then contacts is pretty basic. This is just where you would add in your various business contacts and make sure that basically now you have a single resource for everything. It's your calendar, it's your notes, it's your daily tasks, it's your documents, it's your contacts. It helps keeps everything organized and in one neat little spot, so that way you aren't running into a whole bunch of I don't know. I spend a lot of time chasing down documents and chasing down information and trying to backtrack and make up filings that I've missed and that kind of stuff. And so I guess I kind of more made this one for me than with anyone else in mind, and I know that this is extremely useful for me. So the next one we're going to look at is the Webb Cryptocurrency Trading Simulator. This one's actually a free game that I released. The point of it, like I said, I don't do any data harvesting or anything like that. So the point of it is just that on the side there's some advertising buttons, and so it's a free game. But hopefully, if you ever need any of my other software, you've got easy buttons to access them on the Microsoft Store now. And so you can either go from a new game or you can continue your last game that you were on. So I'm going to say no, that I don't want to continue my last game. On the next update, I'll be taking care of that little icon. That's definitely supposed to be something different than what it is. And we'll say we're going to do a 90-day game. So this is largely based on a very old game called Drug Wars. It is not in any way drug related. It's cryptocurrency related. But when I was young and dumb, that was a fun game to me, and so I decided to create a new, different version and release it for free. And so you would select an asset. Let's go for I don't know, kitten coin, right? And so you can have up to 100 kitten coin. See, I'm going to have to update that also. But you can have 100 kitten coin. That's with 100 gigabytes. It's actually each unit of cryptocurrency is going to be the 1 gigabyte, which, it's not really how it works, but in this game it is. And so then you also have your cash here, how many days you have left in the game, and what exchange you're at. I'm not sure what the opening exchange is that it starts at, since it doesn't list it here. So how many kitten coins do you want to buy? We'll go for 10. So now you can see I've got 10 kitten coins, as it says right there. And then 10 out of 100 of the gigabytes of the Byte wallet memory has been used. And the $470 that went into purchasing those kitten coin is now out of my inventory. And so after you do that, you're going to move to it. See, I got another icon to update. You're going to move exchanges. And so we'll move to Bit Exchange. Now technically this is day one. And it shows you which exchange you're at. And so we got 10 kitten coin at 47. There is no way that I'm going to sell it at a $3 loss. And so government's watching, Wave token becomes worthless. These are random events that happens, and since Wave token just became worthless, that does not mean it's going to stay worthless. It just means now with this current cycle that it's worthless. And so I'm going to buy 90 of those at $1. Now my inventory is full. If I wanted to, I could go to the store. The store is not anything that's pay to play. It's using in-game money. You can buy different things, like you can double this up to 200 gigabytes. You can force one of these random events, or you can do an inside trading scam. And what that is you put $250,000 down. Now all of a sudden, a coin is going to double the next time you go through. And so what you would want to make sure is that you're putting at least 300,000 down on a coin, and then you put 250,000 into doubling the coin. Now the next move, you're going to be able to sell your 300,000 in that coin for an extra 300,000. And so, yeah, you had to pay 250,000 for the opportunity, but you just made a guaranteed 50,000 off that $300,000 sale. And so we will move again. This time, let's go to Coinbase. And as you can see, Wave token has gone up significantly. And so now I can sell all these that I got for $1. Now, see, another icon I have to update. Gosh dang it. And now all of a sudden I'm worth 161,000 instead of the 2,000 we started with. And so that's the basic premise of it. It just keeps moving along like that until you've hit your 90 days. I don't know. I think it's a really fun game to play. I personally like it a lot. I know with some of my free time, I've definitely played it, and I'll probably do a YouTube live of me playing it at some point also. So now we're going to look at the Webb File Organizer. Now this guy's pretty basic. Essentially all it does is you would browse, you'd find a specific folder that has a bunch of just random files in it. And if you have anything that you would want to leave alone, like files that are structured in a particular way or that you don't want to have impacted by getting moved around, you would exclude that folder with the exclude folder button. Then you hit organize, and what that's going to do is go through all your files, and it is going to organize them out into a whole new set of files that are organized out by documents, videos, music, pictures, that kind of thing. And so if you do the same thing I do, where you kind of treat your computer like the back of a bedroom closet and you just shove everything in there, this is going to go through and make sure that everything is organized out in an easy to find way. And then the get rid of extra copies, this just goes through and it looks for any redundancies in the files. You know, if you have two of the same picture or you have two of the same song, that kind of thing. And it'll get rid of those redundancies and help reduce the amount of space being used on your computer by extra nonsense. This one's pretty straightforward. My next update is going to have an undo button. So if you use it and you organize everything out and you don't like the way it's organized, you can undo and it'll just move everything back. So you can go through and either exclude different folders than you did, or you can go through and fix the various problems that you have. All right. So the next one is... Nope, that's not right. All right, so the next one we're going to look at is Webb File Shrinker. Webb File Shrinker was a lot of work. Probably more work than it should have been. Specifically because PDF files are just insanely difficult to work with for some reason. It does take a little bit of time to load. That's largely just because it's a very big program with a lot going on. I guess me trying to open it 3 times slowed it down. Would explain a lot. So this one, you can either reduce PDF size, and so, this is already a small one, but PDFs are kind of hard for it to work with. And so if it's not going to be able to reduce it anymore, it'll give you these messages. And what it's saying is essentially this 108 kilobyte file is not gonna benefit from any of that. And so here's a bigger file. We can try to convert images to JPEG. That's not going to do anything. A lot of the size reduction for PDFs is done through manipulating images and reducing image sizes. Let's see, apply lossless compression. That's not doing anything for this file. Reduce image quality. And so if we do a heavy reduction of image quality, we can get this guy to drop down from 2100 kilobytes down to about 1850. And that's pretty much how it goes. If you have larger PDF files with a lot going on, it's going to work better. Smaller files without a whole hell of a lot going on, it seems to not work quite as well with for the reduced PDF size part. Reduce image size. Same thing. This one is a lot more straightforward and works a lot better, though, in my opinion. And so, go for a medium reduction, small reduction, or heavy reduction. If we did heavy reduction, it would drop it down to 585 kilobytes instead of 2300. And it's the same thing for reduce video size and reduce audio file size. They all just work the exact same way, essentially. And it's share. We'll go for video reduction, and so we'll say we want to drop this down to 50, which is going to be, about a little less than half the size that it originally was. So then you would save it. And that's all there is to it. And so, it's on this main window here. It's telling you that it's converting the video currently, so that way you don't accidentally exit as it's doing its thing. But within, a few minutes, it'll go through and it'll have the whole video converted. And now all of a sudden you'll be able to hit whatever file size you were hoping to with that guy. Now, one reason for releasing this program is because a lot of the free online services that reduce file sizes will steal your data, have you sign agreements without you realizing it, saying that they're going to be able to use your data any way they want. And so you're basically giving away anything that you use a free file converter for. And there you go. Video conversion is complete. Let you know, stops the little scrolling message, and now your file is going to be saved wherever you have it saved at. Now, next one is another free program. This is the Webb Metadata Cleaner. And so metadata is basically the info that's stashed within a picture that will allow people to see the time it was taken, the device it was taken with, the location it was taken at, all that kind of data. And so we'll choose one. This one isn't going to have any metadata, but it can still clean it anyway. And then you just hit save. It's automatically asking you after you select the file what you want the file to be saved as. And there you go. That's all there is to that one. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and it just makes sure that you're safe and that if you upload pictures online that they aren't going to have metadata attached to them that could compromise your security and safety. Like I said, as a single father of 3 kids, last thing I want is for any of them to accidentally expose themselves online. All right, and so then the next one is pretty fun. Oh no, apparently I don't actually have a copy of this one on this computer. Well, all right, I guess I will do a separate video on that one. All right, so this one just had the most recent update on the Microsoft Store. If you need to use it on your computer, you just search Webpack, but it's the Web Podcast Audio Corrector. And so, shrink that down a little bit. So what this guy does is it'll take audio, and then it just cleans it up. It gets rid of the background noise. It emphasizes the spoken word aspect of things. And it's pretty straightforward. You just load that up. There are some options in case you need to change the noise gate for the background noise. That part is a little less relevant now and might actually get taken away during the next update, just because now there is a spectral subtraction aspect that goes through and manages that. But that's all you do. You just process and save audio file. There's a button down here that kind of got cut off because I shrunk things, and that restarts the program, so that way you can process another file. Just because this button stays grayed out after it's done. In a future update, I'll get it so this button ungrays when the process is done here, and get rid of that button on the bottom. But as things are, I was having trouble getting this guy to ungray itself and become active again. Because this process down here is operating on a separate thread than the main GUI, and I was just genuinely struggling getting one to look at the other. And so it goes through and it's going to process the whole file. Once it's all processed, it's going to read out here at the bottom saying that it's at 100%, and you'll have dramatically improved audio. The last time this was released, there was a small glitch in it, a bug that made it loop once when it worked, and so I'm sure that was really frustrating for people. That bug has been fixed, and so now it works great. It produces clean audio for people doing anything that's spoken word or podcast related. I absolutely love it. That's one of my favorite programs that I've made. The Webb Relationship Health Assessment is an interesting one. This one is just for people that have a hard time gauging the health of the various romantic relationships they're in. And so you go through and answer a series of questions. It's based on a number of psychologists that specialize in relationship health. And it gives you an assessment at the end tailored to your answers that basically tells you, the critical areas of your relationship and what's positive and what's negative about it. And, the more you have in the negative column, the more likely it is that you guys either need to go see a therapist together or possibly pursue different relationships. And so, does your partner support your personal goals and dreams through their actions and words? Nah. When you're feeling down, does your partner actively try to comfort you or support you? No. Does your partner make you feel emotionally safe and valued? Sure. Does your partner respect your need for alone time or personal space? No. Now, what's interesting is if you go through and do what I'm doing there and you just answer wildly, it can tell, and it will call you on it at the end and make you retake the test. And so it even forces people into a situation where they have to answer honestly or at least consistently throughout the test for it to properly interpret their data. No, that's pretty much it for that one. Then there is the Webb Security Audit Tool. Now, the Webb Security Audit Tool is fun. I also have a antivirus that I made. That is the Webb Computer Shield. The Webb Security Audit Tool just goes through and it performs a check on the system and sees if there's anything nasty going on. It checks against a RSS feed I have of I think it's like 30,000 malicious IP addresses connected to malicious websites and malicious actors online. And it'll check if there's any of those active briefly. And then it also goes through and checks and makes sure that Windows has its firewalls updated, all of its security updates for the operating system, the firewall is on, and anything else that natively from the Windows side of thing would contribute to a healthy PC environment. So for mine right now, I have the firewall off and I need to get some updates. And so I, could go grab Web Computer Shield with this button here. I can try to take care of these things myself and then restart the app. If you get something like this, updates are available. That means you just need to go to the Start menu, go to Settings, then Updates, and update Windows itself. Firewall is not active, same thing. Just go to the Windows Security, turn on the Windows Firewall, and then as long as those two are the only two that are showing, those aren't actually that big of a deal. And so just going through and taking care of them real quick will help make sure that your computer is as safe as Windows can make it. The next one here is the Webb Tattoo Stencil Generator. This one, I'm an amateur tattoo artist, so I personally use this one a lot also. You just take it and you take your image, put it in there, and then if you don't need the grayscale background, you can do that. The grayscale background can kind of give you a good idea of what's actually in the picture there. You can kind of see the stencil over it. And so it becomes pretty easy to update things. Let's say I wanted a lot more lines available for me to see. And then you pull that away and it's going to give you something that is going to work as a tattoo stencil. If you need something a little more rudimentary, you can change around all the settings here until you get what you're looking for. And if there's something like that, and then if there's things that are in the way, you can use the eraser tool, and it's just going to go through and erase whatever section that you don't want on the stencil. That's pretty straightforward. I definitely want to update it at some point a little bit just to improve the quality of the stencil that it generates. But I mean, it's already got quite a few users, and I'm pretty happy with how it is in its current state. So this one is the Webb Text and Image to PDF converter. You can select bulk images and text and whatnot. And so here we'll go with that. Ooh, okay. So in the next update, I'm going to make sure that this section will allow you to pull documents from multiple locations. It looks like right now all the documents would have to be in one spot, and you would have to select them all with the control, and then click on which ones you need, so that way you get multiple documents. Actually, definitely need to fix that, so that way you can select them piecemeal one by one. But then from there, let's say that you want the picture to go first, and then you want the patent stuff to go next, and the computer repair waiver to come last. So you do that. Then you set the final PDF save name and location. So we'll just do it as pdf.pdf. So save. And then you hit convert, and it is taking these text documents and these images and creating a single PDF out of them. And so your PDF file has been created. Click OK. And definitely want to go through, and in addition to making it so you can piecemeal select files for this section, that the window prompt that just popped up there has the right icon on it. And there is also the Webb Weight Loss app. This one's basically just to help people get into a calorie deficit. And so it's supposed to update daily. It looks like it might be having a little bit of issue in that regard, so I'm going to go through and test that and make sure that every new day that passes, that calorie is getting reset. If not, you can just hit reset history on a new day. And what you go through and do is you add various foods that you are eating. And this one needs some icon updates also, but I already knew that. And so let's say I had an apple, and I had one serving of apple. So There is no Apple in the database right now, which is silly. There should be. I need to do an update to the database also on what foods are available on it. But we'll say that I had one serving of pineapple, is what I actually had. And so it added the one serving of pineapple, and then it took those calories away from the calorie counter for the day. And so it's basically just a really intense calorie tracker. Now, the fun part about it is that you can calculate your daily caloric needs with this little BMI thing, and that's going to figure out how many calories you would need to maintain every day. And then after you do that, you toss in your weight loss goal, and that's how many pounds you want to lose over a 4-week period. And then it calculates how many calories you can consume each day to still reach your goal. And then it'll, it's taking away from that pool of calories as you're tracking your foods. And so, this 1,800 calories left for the day, that's if I wanted to meet my weight loss goal for this month. And so it's very much so weight loss by the numbers, essentially. Let's see. Then last but not least is Webb Computer Shield. This is my antivirus that I've released. It does have patent pending technology in it. We just got granted the provisional patent on January 14th. And so the key feature of this, and the thing I'm most excited about that is the part that's getting patented, is a malicious full screen detection system. And so a lot of scammers and hackers these days will go through, and the main way that they'll attack people is by having these full screens that get forced up on the computer as a user is going through and trying to use the internet, do whatever. And the full screen will be like this big blue screen that says something along the lines of, your computer's been compromised. Please call this number at Microsoft and we'll get things taken care of. And then you call, and usually there's a whole script that they go with. But one way or the other, they'll end up getting either your debit card information or bank account information. And then they use that to scam the people and to rip them off and to steal from them. And so what this does is it detects for full screens, and if a full screen is detected, it basically asks the user, hey, did you mean to have the full screen protection on? If you want to turn it off temporarily so that way you can do something with a full screen, here's an option for that. And so there is this gamer mode, and to enable gamer mode is to turn off the malicious full screen detection. Disable gamer mode will turn back on the full screen detection as well as the other security features. So the other thing it's doing is it's goes through and it's doing a live network check at all times. So it's checking against, remember how I said there was that RSS feed with all those malicious IP addresses? This program uses that also, and if at any point it identifies one of those malicious IP addresses coming into or going out from your computer, it'll alert you of the program that's doing it and quarantine that program, and then you can either restore the program or you can delete it off your computer permanently and save yourself from further attacks. It also checks for unusual port activity, unusual IP activity, just a number of different heuristics. I'm trying to remember what some of the other ones are. I programmed them all over a year ago. So if you have a bunch of extra connections that are coming up on the computer that deviate from your normal behavior, it'll flag that. If there's port activity on unusual ports, it'll flag that. If any one of those blacklisted IP addresses comes up, it'll flag that. If there is a program that is suddenly sending out a bunch of signals in a really erratic way, it'll flag that. Trying to think. There's one other thing that I'm forgetting of. And so it's designed to work in tandem with whatever antivirus you already have, or with the Windows Security Defender. And so, unlike other antiviruses where you have to get rid of your current security system, this one is designed to work alongside with your current security and at the same time provide live network protection in ways that other softwares don't. And my goal here is to make sure this thing is never more than $10. It's one-time fee. If you ever notice it suddenly go way up from that, that's because a company bought it from me. And don't feel too bad for me, because if I ever sell this thing, it would have to be well worth it. That's pretty much it. The only one that I wasn't able to really get to here was the Webb PDF bulk search, and I will be doing a separate video on that. I'll also be going through and doing a little more explicit guide videos as things go on. I wanted to make a series of videos for the website, kind of explaining what each one of these is and what it does first. And I'm happy to do detailed user guides to add on to these kind of initial intro videos here as time goes on. Let's see. There is one feature of this guy that I forgot to mention, a couple features. So there's this hardened system setting. What the hardened system setting does is it goes through, it'll make sure there's no Windows corruptions or any issues with the Windows operating system. It'll make sure that your computer is up to date, and if it's not, it forces it to be up to date. It also goes through and optimizes the Windows native firewall settings, and so it adds a bunch of firewall rules that's basically going to keep anything that's potentially malicious from interacting with your computer in any way. Oh, goodness. Then there is the whitelist and blacklist. This is going to go through the whitelist and blacklist are automatically propagated, but you can manually change things in them as well. The whitelist, basically anytime it goes through and does a full network scan, which is, this guy. This goes through and it does a very deep dive into your network and into your system and makes sure that none of the so right now, because the list changes and updates, it looks like instead of 30,000 malicious IPs, there's only about 17,000 right now. But it goes through and it does a deep dive into your system and makes sure that none of the currently marked malicious IP addresses are showing any activity on your system, and that nothing else of security concern is happening. And if you have a bunch of IP addresses currently operating and none of them are coming back as being malicious, it'll add them automatically to the IP whitelist just to make sure that the program stays lightweight and isn't doing excessive checks on things that it doesn't need to be, by checking back through and verifying that those IP addresses are problematic when it already knows that it's not. And then the blacklist, same thing. If you have anything that's kind of seeming odd and you don't want your computer connecting to it, you can toss it on the blacklist and it's just going to automatically treat it like it's on that malicious IP list. The blacklist also will fill in with those malicious IP addresses. So those 16,000 that just popped up, those are 16,000 in addition to the, I think it was 26,000 last time that got added to that blacklist. And so it is going to go through and just kind of keep updating that. Apparently this result window needs a update. So there's a few features that I kind of want to iron out on this thing, and that's apparently one of them. Another thing I'll do is if you have gamer mode turned off, because you're playing a game, or gamer mode turned on because you're playing a video game and you need your security to be downgraded temporarily for that, or you're trying to watch a movie, something else that uses a full screen, it's going to remind you that it's like that. And so it's going to look, and if it sees that you have a full screen open and that you're doing stuff, it's going to leave you alone. But if it doesn't see a full screen at all and you have gamer mode on and your security turned off, it's going to pop up a reminder and say, hey, I'm in gamer mode. You're not secure right now. Make sure to make sure to turn me back on, and it's going to do that at, I believe, 30-minute intervals. And so if you happen to be away from the computer and you come back and there's a stack of notifications from the program, that's just it stacking up those alerts. And 1 second, because I gotta answer the phone for my computer repair company.